For South African International News, I'm Peter Toscano, reporting from an undisclosed location. The fate of dozens of white Afrikaners who have fled for their lives and come to the United States as refugees is still up in the air. Will they fit in? Will they assimilate? Could they possibly eat a hot dog on a grill? I'm speaking with the neighbor of one of these new residents to the United States. He has agreed to speak to me on the condition of anonymity. Tell us your story.
Yeah, he told me some Africans were moving in the neighborhood. I was like, I don't think so. But then this family came, a very nice family, very nice. You know what I mean, right? Yeah. Anyway, they didn't speak English. At least I didn't think so at first, because I didn't understand a word they said. But then the youngest kid, she was like 16. She spoke in a perfect American accent. I was like, wow, how long have you been in America? She said 2 days. And then they invited me for a bra. I was like, for a bra? I don't do that. If you want to wear women's clothing, that's fine. But they said, no, it's a cookout. So I brought some, frozen meat patties and chicken.
All right. Back to you in the station. Peter Toscano for South African International News.
Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. This is Willie Docu Stories, where we dive into the real, raw, and sometimes uncomfortable conversation shaping our world today. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you have been rocking with me here for a while, you already know how we do it. And I hope you're great. I myself am doing good. And today I have a very interesting topic. Right. This topic is all about Latinos' reaction to white South African refugees. So today, we're going there. We're talking about something I've been noticing creeping into the news cycle, but not just getting into mainstream attention. I'm talking about the rising number of white South African refugees, and more specifically, the reaction they're getting from Latino communities in places like Texas, California, and Florida. Let me be clear here. This isn't just a piece of conversation. It's messy, it's emotional, and it's laid with history, identity, and some deep social bandage that a lot of people would rather ignore. Right? And so, without wasting much time, I want you to stay intact. Watch these videos, and then we'll meet after the video so that we can talk about it. Guys, this is real, and it's not good. On my own behalf, I see that it's not good. So, let's dive into the videos so that we can talk about it after the videos. Keep intact.
As Latinos, we need to have more empathy for the Cubans being wrongly deported, because no, we don't, okay? This is exactly what you wanted. Inadvertently, you voted for this, all right? I'm reminded of that little jingle, I will vote for Donald Trump. And now that they're getting deported, I think, cogete a Donald Trump. You voted yourselves out. You voted your family members out by voting him in. You thought that it was only going to be los negritos, the ones that look like me that were going to be, deported, okay? And no, see, I know a Cuban guy. I knew a Cuban guy up until last week. His name was Usnavi. And if you know Cubans, there's always one of them named Usnavi. When your name is literally spelled out U.S. Navy and you have U.S. agents cuffing you, y tú estás, ¿qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? Que te va pa'l carajo ahora, eh? And this dude was a janitor, but janitor in New Jersey, you can make a lot of money. He had a pickup truck. Él tenía su banderita gringa, tú me entiendes. He was very proud to be an American. Come to find out que te enviaron pa' Cuba de nuevo. It's hilarious, and at the same time, it's upsetting. I've always gotten along con lo que no son niega raza. The people that are Latin, Caribbean, that don't deny their blackness. ¿Por qué? Because our ancestors over here in this country used to hang together. You understand? Julio Roldan, 1970. Look it up. The information's out there, all right? Cubans, you got that movie Scarface, and it just put you on another fucking roller coaster of a ride in your mind. Te creía que the world is yours, chico? No, it's not. And by the way, Al Pacino ruined that movie, and he ruined Carlito Way playing a Puerto Rican. And it wasn't me, by the way. I did not see Usnavi and say 1-800 Hielo, 1-800 make the drinks cold. It wasn't me. It just so happened to happen that someone in his workplace didn't like him. They ratted him out. They got him at work, okay? That's crazy. It's insane porque he thought that they were only going to get the ones that didn't work. Motherfucker, they coming after you because it's easier to find the ones that are working than the ones that are not working. When people aren't working, you don't know where the fuck they at, okay? But when people are at work, it's easy to find them. Así que te cogieron. And I went to kindergarten, and I'm sure most of us did, and I was always taught that the color orange meant danger. Cuidado, por ahí viene algo. Green meant go, ¿verdad? Pero since forever, orange has always meant stop, drop, precaution, mira para los lados, something's happening. So I would never vote orange. It could be another orange person that goes up and they want me to vote. No way, you orange, bro. I don't trust the color orange. That's the sign of a penitentiary. They put them in orange so that you can see them coming from a mile away. This motherfucker, his skin is telling you que viene por ahí, va a ser algo malo. Y como quiera la gente, no, ese es el mío. Cubans think that motherfucker's family member. Like, oh yeah, ese es primo mío, puede ser el trompa ese. Váyanse al carajo, choco de pendejo. And by the way, you didn't see the writing on the wall? Like, you coming from a country where shit like this has happened, you didn't see like, oh yeah, this looks familiar, no?
Did you see this video of this woman from South Africa talking about how on a Facebook group she saw that Afrikaner refugees here in the U.S. are struggling and are thinking about going back?
Family of refugees has been placed in this town, and they have had like no food. I know that there's this, and I don't know what to think because I didn't really follow it at all when it happened. But I think they were of the understanding that they were going to be arriving here to like complete assistance. And I think people here thought that they were going to be arriving to a house and a job and medical insurance and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it actually isn't that way at all. There have been like 4 adults in a hotel room with no money, no cell phone, no anything. And like the humanitarian in me, I can't ignore the fact that these people are struggling. But there's this one side of me that's like, fuck that.
If you hadn't heard the story, Trump has been letting Afrikaner refugees, heavy on the quotes, into the U.S. They came here with the lie that the South African government is persecuting them because they're white. So at a time where Trump is not allowing any refugees to come into the country, he is allowing Afrikaners into the country. And like this article perfectly states, they're not refugees, they're opportunists. And these opportunists really thought that when they got to the U.S., they were going to get a house, a job, a car, a cell phone, health insurance completely paid for. They really thought that Daddy Donnie was going to take taxpayer money and give it to them. You know, believing all those lies that people of color come to the U.S. to seek refugee or asylum, and then they have it on easy street, which, surprise, surprise, it's not true. And it doesn't matter how much those South Africans hate it here, they can't just go back home. Like the Department of International Relations said, these Afrikaner refugees cannot just go back to South Africa or get assistance from South Africa because they're supposed to be under the protection of the United States and Donald Trump. And if these Afrikaner refugees want to be welcomed back as citizens, they have to revoke their status in order for this to happen. So if these Afrikaners are struggling in the U.S. and they want to go back home, basically they have to admit, we lied. I think it's kind of humorous to me that their lies have backfired on them and that Donald Trump has left them stranded. However, it's very frustrating that people who actually have to seek asylum and refuge in the U.S. because they're trying to escape danger and persecution are not being allowed in, but these opportunists are being fast-tracked. And as
Latinos of all backgrounds, do y'all not realize black people are not the only people in this country? You got your Chinese Americans, your Japanese Americans, your Korean Americans, your Indian Americans, your Muslim Americans, your white Americans, and your own people. So why in Davy Jones' lockup are y'all so pressed and mad at us because we not out protesting? Folks, we did the most effective protesting last November, and the data proves it. We protested when it mattered the most. We were not out here with whole productions talking about some we will vote for Donald Trump. Y'all was out here with that foolishness, knowing full well, that y'all had a few abuelas, a few tios, tias, mijo, and mijas in your house undocumented. But y'all got y'all behinds on stage talking about some we will vote for Donald Trump. And you think we supposed to be out here protesting, picket fence in hand, clowning? Like some monkeys in a zoo? No, sirree bop. We did what we were supposed to do. And y'all put y'all's own community in the position that it's in now. And y'all need to live with it.
All right, this message is for my brown people. And although us black folks decided to sit this one out because we did try to warn y'all at the polls, we do see that it's fucked up. California is a blue state. 66% of Latinos in California voted against Trump, but it's not enough. You got to work on your people that hate us. Then you got to rally your people because they hate you like they hate us. And don't tell me this is not about race. There's over 500,000 undocumented immigrants in America from Poland or Russia or Germany, the UK, Italy, Ireland, all over Eastern Europe. But they not joining the protest because they not being targeted. America has always been obsessed with race. You burglarize and steal someone's home, make laws that only protect you, then get upset when they want to move back in. Talking about, we need to protect our borders. Most of you never even met a Mexican American, and if you have, they're probably doing a job that you would never want to do anyway. These ain't criminals. They're snatching up students and nurses and builders and farmers, electricians and plumbers. They got fucking armored vehicles pulling up on line cooks. You're separating mothers from their children and telling people who've been here for decades to just go and start a life somewhere else because you're uncomfortable. In their land. You just took their shit and was even too lazy to change the names. It's still San Francisco, San Diego, San Bernardino, Ventura, Calabasas, Rancho Cucamonga. But it's all in the name of law, right? Well, hanging people was law. Owning people was law. Segregation was law. Jim Crow, mass incarceration, redlining, stop and frisk, law. Just because it's written don't make it right. You know Adolf had laws too. It's funny how you want people to follow the rules when they only benefit you. So let me get this straight. A man who was found guilty of committing 34 felonies is turning our troops against people who committed a civil violation. Being undocumented is a civil violation, not a felony. So who you put in office is far worse than any of these folks out here just trying to build a life in America. But y'all let him slide because he's white. I'm here in LA and not a single person died during these protests. 5 people died when they stormed the Capitol and those thugs were pardoned. Can you imagine if black and brown people stormed the Capitol? We wouldn't make it onto the fucking lawn before we got slaughtered. You naggers are all savages. You're tearing up property. Are you telling me that an insured Apple store or Louis Vuitton store is more important than the historic Capitol building of the United States? At least when black and brown people riot, it's for survival or civil rights. White America will burn a whole city down because their team won the World Series. So to all my brown brothers and sisters, coming from a people who's been fighting on the front lines for over 400 years, sacrificing our bodies so that Muslims and Asians and Africans and Indians and brown people can live a comfortable life in America, please realize that we are tired. A bit of advice. There is not a word that you can say to make those racists feel compassion because they do not view you as their equal. So keep protesting and going as hard as you can. And to the colonizers who agree with Mr. Trump, let me ask you a question. If all of your land is stolen and someone told you to go home, where would you go?
Welcome back again to Willie Docu Stories. And so, here's the scene. A growing number of white South Africans, many claiming persecution or insecurities back home, have been arriving in the US, applying for asylum, and in some cases being fast-tracked through immigration processes. Now, for folks who have had to wait years, sometimes decades, to legally bring families here to Mexico, El Salvador, Colombia, or anywhere else in Latin America, this hit difference, the bitterness, it's real. And honestly, it's understandable. You've got Latinos families who've lived here for years, working jobs nobody else wanted, paying taxes, raising kids, and still fighting for status or dignity. Watching white South Africans arrive and being seen as refugees deserve- deserving of sympathy. This is a hard pill to swallow because let's be honest here, the America immigration system hasn't exactly been kind to brown and black folks. And when people see a white foreigner treated with open arms while they are constantly being told to go back where they came from, it feels like a slap in the face. But here's where it gets more complex. A lot a lot of these South Africans are running from violence and instability, just like many Latinos did. And yet, they often framed as civilized victim of a broken country, while Latinos are painted as illegals, invaders, or even worse. That double standard, that's that's very fueling the resentment. I've seen comments on social media. Yeah, I've had interviews on local radio, even talked to people in my own community who are like, hold up, why is their trauma more valid than ours? And that's a fair question. Now, I'm not here to say one group deserves more sympathy than the other, but I am here to say this. The way Americans treat different kinds of immigrants tells us a lot about who is allowed to be a victim and who is expected to be just suck it up. This isn't about immigration, folks. It's about race, legacy, and what we still refuse to unpack as a society. So, I wanted, I want you to know what you all think. I've seen this happening. Have you seen this happening? I myself have seen this happening. Do you think the bitterness is justified, or is it misdirected? Should we be comparing refugees' experiences at all? Or is it the kind of division that keeps us fighting others instead of the system? I think you should drop your thoughts in the comments. But don't forget this, keep it respectful, but keep it real. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it to everyone who, who's been talking about this issue. And don't forget to subscribe for more honest commentaries that doesn't sugarcoat the tough stuff. Until next time, folks, stay sharp, stay aware, and stay human. Let's love each other. This world is ours. We're here to live. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Until next time.